Rowena, my husband's old flame, just posted a family photo on her social media. The background? A chic, pink-hued apartment that looked suspiciously familiar. Her caption read, "Thanks to a certain someone for the best birthday gift ever. I'm officially living in my dream home now." As if that wasn't enough, my sister-in-law was quick to chime in, liking the post and commenting, "Now this is the kind of sister-in-law I've been waiting for." I stared at the photo for a second, recognizing the apartment instantly. With a small smirk, I tapped like and added my own comment. "Oh, I see my daughter's first birthday photo on the wall in the top left corner. Would you mind blurring that out?" Barely a second later, my phone rang. It was my husband Pierce. I hit decline without hesitation and forwarded the screenshot I'd just taken to my lawyer. "Mr. Brown, can we discuss the legal ramifications of someone squatting in a home that's not theirs?" Emily shot up, gasping for air like she'd just escaped from hell. Chapter 1. "Mom, when's Daddy coming home? He promised he'd be here for my birthday." Today is my daughter's birthday. The mermaid cake is still sitting on the table, untouched. I watch her lying in bed, wide awake, even though I've been reading her favorite bedtime stories for half an hour. She's waiting for him. And my heart breaks a little more. Pierce and I had been together since college. We could have been happy would have been if Rowena hadn't come back into the picture. But life doesn't work like that. And honestly, maybe it's for the best. Rowena showed me who Pierce really is. "Pierce, I'm done with you." Lately, he's barely been around out the door before sunrise and hardly home before midnight. Our daughter started preschool, and some days, she doesn't even see him at all. Her birthday was the one thing we planned together. A whole week in advance. But now, the clock's hands are creeping toward midnight, and once again, "Pierce, you've let us down." It's 1 a.m. when the door finally opens, and he steps inside. He sees me sitting in the dark and frowns like I'm the one doing something wrong. When I don't move, he half-heartedly loosens his tie and tries to reach for me, but I shift out of his grasp. "Babe, listen. It's not what you think. Rowena's son just started kindergarten, and Rowena's place was too far. Our apartment's right by the school, and Coco doesn't need the space right now. They've just been borrowing it for a while. Rowena's raising their son on her own, and if I don't help her, who will? You understand, right? And Lisa. She was just joking. You know how she is always stirring up trouble. But you know I love you. That's what matters." Ah, Lisa. Pierce's little sister. She's hated me from the start, probably because she's so close to Rowena. I never expected her to like me, but I didn't expect her to be so openly cruel. Pierce squeezes my hand, his voice soft and sweet, like he thinks that'll make everything better. I don't say a word. I just pull my hand away quietly. That's when his mood shifts. He stands up abruptly, staring down at me with that self-righteous look I've grown to despise. His voice turns sharp, full of irritation. "Livia, you're a mother now. You need to drop this spoiled attitude. What's done is done. You expect me to kick them out. Seriously? I let Rowena post about the apartment because I'm not hiding anything. I don't feel guilty because I've done nothing wrong. I'm not afraid of you finding out. I could have kept this from you, but I chose to tell you. Because I thought you were a reasonable wife. But you're acting like a child. I'm disappointed, Livia. Can't you just be more understanding? I've had a long day. I'm not doing this with you tonight. Go sleep with the kid. We both need some time to cool off." And with that, he heads to the bedroom, slamming the door behind him loud enough to make his anger clear. Not once did he mention our daughter's birthday. I wipe my already tear-streaked face, but this time, I'm not crying. This time, I'm laughing. How ridiculous. Laughing at myself for loving someone who never deserved it. For being so blind all these years. And laughing at him too. Pierce has spent so long thinking he can do whatever he wants, and I'll just be here, forgiving, understanding, endlessly patient. Maybe, in his eyes, I'm just a fool. Someone who's too easy to manipulate to soft to trusting. A few empty words, and suddenly, he's the hero, standing on his moral high ground, ready to lecture me on how to be a good wife. As if I'm the one who's failed. But I see it clearly now. I loved it so much, that's true. But I'm not the one who should pay the price for that. Chapter 2. By the time I dropped Coco off at preschool, Pierce was long gone, just like every other morning. Coco didn't even mention him on the drive. She'd gotten used to it, this absence of his, like it was just part of her routine now. It wasn't until we reached the school that her mood shifted. I had barely parked the car when Coco unbuckled herself, pushed open the door, and took off running. I hurried after her, but then I saw what had caught her attention and froze. There, just a few steps ahead, was Pierce. And standing next to him was Rowena, holding a little boy in her arms. From where I stood, they looked like a perfect little family. "Daddy! Did you come to take me to school? Why didn't you leave with Mommy this morning?" Coco's innocent voice cut through the air, shattering the illusion. It was peak drop-off time, and her words turned heads. A few parents nearby glanced over, their curiosity piqued. Children may not see the world in shades of gray, but adults? They know how to read between the lines. This wasn't just any preschool. It was the best in the city, the kind of place where getting your kid in meant you had serious connections or serious money. I'd made sure of Coco's spot the moment she was born, buying an apartment nearby to secure her future. The parents here? They're sharp, and they wouldn't need long to figure out something wasn't right. Pierce, bringing Rowena's child here, in front of everyone? It was reckless and stupid. He must have felt the weight of their stares too. In a clumsy rush, he set the boy down and awkwardly reached for Coco. She stepped back. To cover up the moment, Pierce ruffled her hair and spoke loudly as if his volume could somehow legitimize the lie. "Coco, sweetheart, this is just a client's kid. It was their first day at school, and they needed help finding their way. That's why Daddy's here." The excuse was pathetic. Even a 5-year-old wouldn't buy it. The crowd at the school gate was thinning as parents hurried off to start their days, but I could feel the tension building in my chest. I bit back my anger, knowing now wasn't the time. I'd get Coco inside, then deal with Pierce. But Coco wouldn't budge. She stood there, staring at Rowena and the little boy, her face scrunched in confusion. "Are you Daddy's other kid? He hasn't held me in a long time, but he was just holding you." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I hadn't expected her to say that, and the weight of it, her little voice, so full of hurt, was almost too much to bear. Pierce had been a terrible father lately, but I wasn't much better. I had been so caught up in my own pain that I hadn't noticed how much Coco was hurting too. The boy, chubby and smug, laughed. "I'm not Uncle Pierce's kid," he said, grinning. "But my mom says he's going to be my dad soon." He puffed out his chest. "Your dad doesn't like you. That's why he doesn't hold you. He likes me. That's why he holds me." People say kids don't have filters, but it was obvious where this boy had gotten his words. Rowena must have been feeding him nonsense like that. I was ready to march over and give her a piece of my mind, but Rowena beat me to it. "Oh, Livia, I'm so sorry," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "My son is still young, you know how kids are at that age, they say silly things. He really looks up to Pierce and keeps saying he wants him to be his dad. As parents, we just want to make our children happy, don't we?" She smiled sweetly, but her eyes were cold. "And Coco, right?" she continued, turning her attention to my daughter. "I think maybe you should think about how you're raising her. If Pierce isn't coming home, maybe you should ask yourself why." Chapter 3. As soon as Rowena finished speaking, Coco, who's usually so full of spirit, lowered her head. Her voice was soft, almost trembling. "Mommy, can we just go to school now?" I could hear the tears she was holding back. Seeing her like that, all the calm I'd been clinging to disappeared. All I wanted was to march up to Rowena and slap her. And honestly, that's exactly what I did. "Rowena, is this how you teach your son?" Pierce is my daughter's father, and we both love her more than anything in this world. If anyone needs a lesson in parenting, it's you." I'll admit I wasn't being entirely truthful. Pierce doesn't care about Coco nearly as much as he should. In fact, I know he cares more about Rowena's kid than his own. But I couldn't let Coco see that. Not now. I wasn't about to let her feel any more hurt than she already did. Smack. By the time Pierce realized what had happened, Rowena was already sporting a bright red handprint on her cheek. He glanced around, noticing that the preschool gates had already closed. Just 2 teachers lingered nearby, awkwardly pretending not to watch. Pierce rushed to Rowena, checking if I'd hurt her too badly, then turned to me, his face twisted with anger. "Livia, what the hell is wrong with you? You can't just hit someone. You're really going to take a child's words seriously? And besides," he added, his voice dripping with condescension, "wasn't the kid right?" He didn't wait for me to respond. Instead, he turned back to Rowena, who was putting on the perfect performance, tears welling up as she tried to look brave. "I'm taking her to the hospital." Pierce spat at me. "If something's wrong, we'll deal with you later." And just like that, he stormed off, hand in hand with the sniffling Rowena, leaving me standing there with Coco. I didn't miss the smug look Rowena tossed over her shoulder as they walked away. Even her brat of a kid couldn't resist turning around to make a face at us. I quickly covered Coco's eyes before she. "Fine, Rowena. Enjoy your little victory. You'll get what's coming to you." I could tell something had been bothering Coco for a while now, and I wasn't going to ignore it any longer. So, I made a decision. I called the school and told them Coco would be out for a few days. We had more important things to deal with. That morning, we took care of business. By the time we got home, we were both exhausted. And then, Pierce walked in. It was the earliest he'd been home in weeks. One look at his face, and I knew exactly what had set him off. He'd seen my post. Earlier that day, I had taken Coco to the apartment near her preschool. The one I bought for her when she was born. It's in her name. The last time I'd been there was over a year ago. I had planned to renovate it once Coco started school, thinking it'd be more convenient for us to live nearby. But then we got comfortable in the house closer to Pierce's office, and the move never happened. What I hadn't expected was for Rowena and her son to move in instead. That was a slap in the face, and I was not going to let it slide. So, I took action. Coco and I spent the day cleaning the place from top to bottom. I hired a cleaning crew and disinfected every inch. And of course, I changed the locks. Oh, and let's not forget I packed up every single one of Rowena's things and tossed them right out the door. By the time we were done, the apartment looked brand new. I stood there with Coco, took a few photos, and posted them online. My caption? "Someone's been living in my daughter's apartment. Just spent a small fortune getting it cleaned and aired out. Should I send them a bill for the cleaning service?" The post took off. People were commenting left and right, offering advice. Some even pointed out that what Rowena did was illegal, moving into someone else's property without permission. That's trespassing. I could take her to court for it. I just smiled at the comments. Because I had already filed the lawsuit. Chapter 4. My parents called me from across the ocean. They were on vacation, but the moment they heard about what was happening, they booked tickets to come back. I had to fight back tears as I begged them not to. I know better than anyone that no one in this world loves me more than my mom and dad. They've given me everything: a great life, endless support, and all the love I could ask for. But I'm not a little girl anymore. This is my mess, and I need to clean it up myself. Then, right on cue, Lisa decided to throw in her 2 cents on my social media post. "Livia, seriously? You've already taken my brother away from Rowena. Now you're kicking her out of her home too? You're such a piece of work." All I could do was laugh. Pierce? That man? Only Rowena could see him as some kind of prize. Without wasting another second, I blocked her. I don't have time for that kind of stupidity. After making sure Coco was tucked into bed, I came back to the living room, where Pierce was clearly waiting for his moment to explode. "Livia, you've gone too far. Oh really? And what exactly did I do that was too far? Are you seriously asking me that? Did I ever miss Coco's birthday? Did I ever bring a mistress into my daughter's home? Did I ever abandon my own child to take someone else's kid to school? Or better yet, did I ever let a mistress and her son mock my wife and daughter? No, I didn't. I leaned back on the couch and took a slow sip of water, watching as Pierce's face turned an even deeper shade of red. I told you why all of this is happening. You're blowing things way out of proportion, as usual. And stop calling her a mistress. There's nothing going on between Rowena and me, and I won't stand for you disrespecting her like that. He paused but then went for the real jab. Coco's starting to repeat the garbage you're filling her head with. She's just a kid, Livia. Do you have any idea how bad this is for her? You're ruining her. You need to spend more time actually being a mother instead of poisoning her mind. That did it. I snapped. I'm ruining her? You've got some nerve. I've been raising Coco practically on my own, and you have the audacity to question me? What about you, Pierce? You're too busy playing dad to someone else's kid to even notice your own daughter. You're trying to have it both ways, and you expect me to sit here and take it. He could see I wasn't backing down, so he changed tactics, softening his tone and moving to sit next to me. Come on, babe. There's nothing going on with Rowena, I swear. You're working yourself up over nothing. You know how hard it is for a single mom to get by. We're just helping her out, that's all. Can we please just change the locks? She and her son have nowhere to go tonight. You're not really going to leave them out in the cold, are you? That's classic Pierce. When he can't win an argument, he tries to guilt me into doing things his way. In the past, it worked. I'd feel like a bad wife, like I was being cold-hearted, if I didn't do what he asked. But not anymore. Now, I see it for what it is, manipulation. And I'm done falling for it. Pierce, you haven't seen cold-hearted yet. Trust me, it's coming. He looked at me, completely confused. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't bother answering. He'll find out soon enough. Chapter 5. The security guard let me know that Pierce had brought Rowena and her son back to the apartment. Apparently, Pierce had shown them our marriage certificate to prove he had the right to be there, and then hired a locksmith to open the door. Legally, that shouldn't have worked after all, the apartment's in Coco's name, not mine or his. But I let him think he'd won this round. I needed him to help me move forward. I'd given them plenty of chances. Now it's time for me to stop playing nice. It's just a shame that Coco and I wasted an entire afternoon cleaning up that place, not to mention the money I spent. But don't worry, Rowena will pay for that. Every last cent. Pierce must have been rattled by what I said to him that day. He lied, telling me he'd found somewhere else for Rowena and her son to live, and begged me to drop the whole thing. To top it off, he decided to stay away from home for a week, as if punishing me for daring to stand up for myself. I didn't bother calling him out. I didn't need to. Instead, I just quietly saved all the videos and messages Rowena had been sending me. For a long time, I had convinced myself that Rowena didn't know the apartment belonged to Coco. I thought Pierce had lied to her and made her believe it was his place, which explained why she acted so comfortably there. But I was wrong. She knew exactly who owned that apartment. And worse, she was flaunting it in my face. Livia, does this place look familiar? Your daughter's so young and already has her own apartment. Pretty unfair, don't you think? But now it's my home. Livia, you can't get rid of me. Your man, your apartment, they're mine now. She even sent me videos her son scribbling on the walls, and then the PCDR assistants a shot of Pierce lying in bed with her, shirtless, in the master bedroom I had designed myself. It's like she was handing me the evidence on a silver platter. I had already filed the lawsuit. In about a week, Rowena would be served with papers. Honestly, I couldn't wait. In the meantime, I kept replying to her messages, playing my part, acting hurt, outraged, betrayed. I knew it was the only way to keep her talking, to keep her sending me more proof of what they were doing. Proof of Pierce's affair. Proof of them squatting in my daughter's home. A week later, as expected, Rowena got her court summons. And that same day, Pierce finally slithered back into the house. "Livia, what the hell is wrong with you? How could you do something so cruel?" Cruel. That's what he called me. The man I married, the man I gave 6 years of my life to, was standing there, looking me in the eye and calling me cruel for protecting what belongs to me, to our daughter. But strangely, I didn't feel angry. I felt nothing. I guess Pierce had fought me over Rowena so many times that I'd become numb to it. I still remember the first time I heard about Rowena. Pierce had taken me to meet his parents, and they were so kind and welcoming, almost to perfect. But they kept calling me by the wrong name. They kept calling me Rowena. Pierce spent the next week camped outside my apartment, apologizing, begging me to forgive him. Eventually, I did. I told myself that Rowena was just part of his past. And everyone has a past, right? As long as Pierce loved me now, I could let it go. After we got married, everything seemed perfect. My dad handed Pierce one of his company's branches to manage, and Pierce did well with it. Over time, even my parents warmed up to him. A year after the wedding, our daughter Coco was born. I quit my job to focus on raising her, and for a while, life felt like a dream. The first time I met Rowena in person was at Pierce's high school reunion. I noticed people giving me strange looks like they all knew something I didn't. Rowena came up to me and introduced herself. That night, she drank too much, and Pierce insisted on driving her home. I went with them, of course. I didn't trust him alone with her, but I kept my anger to myself. Even then, I was afraid of what might happen if I let them be alone together. I was so pathetic back then. Things only went downhill from there. Pierce started forgetting important dates, our anniversary, my birthday, even Coco's birthday. And every single time, where was he? With Rowena and her son. We fought more in the last 6 months than we had in the entire 5 years before that. And every fight ended the same way, with him accusing me of being petty, of not being understanding enough. And every time, I'd end up second-guessing myself, wondering if he was right. I kept telling myself I would leave and that I deserved better. But it wasn't until I saw Rowena move into Coco's apartment that everything finally became clear. So now, as Pierce stands there calling me cruel, I just smile. If that's what he wants to believe, let him. I don't care anymore. His opinion of me doesn't matter. Pierce, I say calmly. If you think I've been cruel to Rowena, just wait. You're next. Chapter 6. 3 days after kicking Pierce out, he called me. My dad's assistant told me my dad was remotely taking over Pierce's duties, gradually stripping him of power. No wonder Pierce was in a hurry to call me. Honey, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have let Rowena and her son stay in that apartment without telling you. I shouldn't have said those things to you. And Lisa, I heard she's been giving you trouble these days. Let's meet. I'll have them apologize to you, okay? We're still the ones who love each other the most. Right? Coco hasn't seen me in days. She must miss me. She's so young. We need to think about her. Pierce kept talking, but I instinctively wanted to refuse. My phone beeped with a message. Finally, the message I'd been waiting for. I agreed to meet Pierce. We arranged to meet at my favorite restaurant. Pierce offered to pick me up, but I refused. I didn't want to be alone with him. Pierce still came to pick me up, but Rowena was in the passenger seat, and Lisa was in the back with her son, toys scattered everywhere. I stood in front of the car, arms crossed, watching them. Pierce looked conflicted, as if unsure how to explain. Sorry, Livia. I get carsick and can only sit in the front. But if you mind, I can take a cab. Sure, I get carsick too. Sorry. I opened the car door for Rowena. They seemed surprised by my response, creating an awkward atmosphere. Rowena looked like she was about to cry, making me seem aggressive. Despite this, she didn't move. I suddenly felt tired and walked to my car. I prefer being in control. At the restaurant, I smiled warmly at Rowena. Pierce said you wanted to apologize for illegally occupying my apartment? You've lived there for a while. It's only fair you treat us to this meal, right? Rowena gritted her teeth and agreed with a forced smile. I nodded and called the waiter, ordering the most expensive dishes and 3 bottles of wine. After all, the wine would come in handy later. As the dishes kept coming, Rowena's face grew paler. Lisa, the self-righteous one, spoke up. Livia, enough. Do you know how expensive this place is? You're deliberately making Rowena pay. How can you be so petty? She just stayed in your apartment for a few days. What's yours is my brother's too. He has a say. If anyone should pay, I will. Oh. I heard your beauty salon went bankrupt and you're in debt. Are you planning to use the credit card I gave you? By the way, I canceled that card yesterday. You wouldn't want to use my money, right? Lisa fell silent. The food was served and only I had an appetite. Well, me and that brat, who was happily gnawing on a pork knuckle. If I had known he liked pork knuckles, I wouldn't have ordered it. Halfway through the meal, they still hadn't said a word. I was nearly full and decided it was time to get down to business. I looked at Pierce. So, what did you want to talk about? If it's just to eat, I'm done. I'll be leaving. Honey, I know this is my fault. Wait, are you about to apologize? I need someone to witness this. You don't mind, do you? I interrupted Pierce, stood up, and opened the door. A man who had been waiting outside walked in. It was time for the show to begin. Seeing the man, Pierce's eyes widened. I knew the drama was about to unfold. Chapter 7. Daddy, why are you here? The first to see the man was Rowena's son, but there was no joy in his voice, only guilt and fear. Rowena also saw the man. She stood up abruptly, looking flustered and scared. I had investigated Rowena. She and Pierce started dating in high school, but they didn't get into the same college. In her junior year, Rowena fell for an older student but didn't tell Pierce. After graduation, she left with the older student, leaving Pierce a note. Pierce, I'm sick. I don't want to burden you. I'm leaving. Let me fend for myself. Pierce searched for Rowena like a madman but found no trace of her. Then he met me. I didn't know if he truly loved me or just loved my family's money. But back then, I wanted to believe he loved me. While investigating them, I also looked into Rowena's husband. Her husband, Mark, was a sailor, often away for months. Mark had a severe tendency for domestic violence. So, even though he was rarely home, Rowena never dared to cheat or divorce him because she was terrified of him. I figured Pierce was her last hope. She was pitiful, but what about me? What did I do wrong? Mark wasn't supposed to return for another 2 months, but I pulled some strings to get him back early. Why are you standing there? Didn't you come to apologize? You should apologize to Mark too. He knows everything. Since you're apologizing, do it all at once, right? My words only fueled Mark's anger. I even saw the veins bulging on his clenched fists. Listen to me, honey. I didn't cheat. He's just my high school friend. Really? They felt sorry for me and let me stay in their apartment. Don't be mad. Rowena, usually so arrogant in front of me, was now trembling, almost ready to kneel before Mark. I suddenly found it boring. Yes, Rowena and I are just high school friends. We have no other relationship. Brother, since you're here, let's have a meal together. Pierce extended his hand to Mark, but Mark kicked him in the stomach. Pierce, used to office work, was no match for the seasoned sailor. He fell to the ground, clutching his stomach and screaming. Rowena instinctively tried to help Pierce but was slapped to the ground by Mark. You filthy cheaters. I'll kill you both. I watched them lying on the ground and Lisa cowering in the corner, sighing. Kid, come with me. The child was innocent in all this. He clung to my clothes, following me out of the room, finally breathing a sigh of relief. I listened to the screams and the sound of breaking bottles inside. Sitting in the restaurant lobby, I called the police. The police arrived quickly. When they opened the door, Pierce and Rowena were lying on the ground, unable to move. Even Lisa had a small cut on her face, probably from a broken bottle. Rowena was seriously injured and taken to the hospital. Pierce and I were taken to the police station for statements. After giving my statement, Pierce and Mark had to stay overnight. I left the child with the police and went home. Pierce's eyes were full of anger, but I didn't care. I had stopped caring long ago. Pierce, a lawyer will contact you about the divorce. I hope we can finalize it quickly. Chapter 8. I contacted Pierce again 3 days later. During those 3 days, Pierce refused to agree to the divorce, insisting on meeting me in person. My lawyer was worried about my safety and advised against it. But I didn't want to delay any longer. I needed to finalize the divorce. We arranged to meet at noon at our university, where we had our first date. Walking through the campus again, I couldn't help but feel nostalgic. During our university days, Pierce treated me very well. But that was in the past. We walked in silence to the art studio where we had our first date. I stopped at the door, not wanting to be alone with Pierce in a closed space. The university had moved to a new campus 6 years ago, and the old campus was mostly deserted. The art studio was unused. "Honey, please, give me another chance." Pierce pulled out a bouquet, just like he did back then. But I was no longer the girl who would fall for a bouquet of flowers. I looked away, my voice devoid of emotion. "We agreed, didn't we? I brought the papers. Let's end this amicably. Don't you want to see the surprise I prepared inside? Just one last request before we divorce." Pierce's tone was strange, and I had a bad feeling. I turned to leave, but Pierce grabbed my arm tightly. "Pierce, what are you doing? Don't do anything rash. Livia, I gave you a chance. You didn't cherish it. Now you'll pay for your stubbornness." Pierce dragged me into the studio. Rowena emerged from inside, her eyes full of malice. I realized this was a trap. They tied me to a chair, and Pierce held a divorce agreement. "Livia, we've been married for 6 years. Why should we divorce just because you say so? I told you Rowena and I have nothing going on. Why don't you believe me? Do you hate me so much that you blame everything on me?" "I won't divorce you. Coco needs her father, right? I brought Rowena to explain everything. I won't divorce you ever." Pierce's eyes were bloodshot. I didn't understand why he refused to divorce when he clearly didn't love me. Pierce's emotions were unstable, so I decided not to provoke him. Since Pierce had demands, I was temporarily safe. I just needed to stall until my lawyer arrived. Before leaving, I had arranged with her to call the police if I didn't come out in an hour. I just needed to hold on for another half hour. My lawyer would come to save me. I tried to calm myself and think of ways to stall. I played the emotional card with Pierce. "Pierce, I don't want a divorce either. Do you remember our first meeting? You caught the thief who stole my bag. I knew then I wanted to marry you. But why did you change? Do you know how much it hurts?" Tears flowed, half real, half fake, as I watched Pierce's reaction. Sure enough, he was silent for a long time before speaking slowly. "Livia, I never changed. You just stopped trusting me, and that's why we're here." I didn't understand how Pierce could say such things. His actions were proof of his betrayal. But I couldn't confront him now. "I admit, I lacked trust in you and wasn't gentle enough. Let me go, and we can be like before." I gently guided Pierce, hoping he would untie me. He seemed hesitant, slowly walking behind me to untie the ropes. I didn't believe Pierce had a change of heart. He just couldn't let go of the wealth and comfort. Stab! As Pierce untied the last rope, I felt a sharp pain. It was Rowena, holding a blood-stained fruit knife. How could I forget about Rowena? "You bitch! You want to take Pierce away again? I won't let you. Die! Only if you die can I be with him. Ha ha ha!" Rowena's laughter was even more terrifying with her still healing face. I collapsed, and Pierce seemed shocked, kneeling beside me, trying to take me away. I wasn't sure if it was a hallucination, but I saw Pierce crying. My consciousness faded, and just before I blacked out, the studio door burst open. I saw my lawyer and the police and paramedics behind her. Chapter 9. I woke up a week later. I struggled to move my hand, realizing someone was holding it. It was Pierce. Seeing me awake, he smiled with relief, his voice hoarse as he asked if I was in pain. I looked at his bloodshot eyes and unshaven face, pulling my hand away, wincing in pain. He didn't mind, continuing to tell me what had happened and peeling a fruit for me. The police officer at the door came in to take my statement. I learned Rowena had been arrested, awaiting my statement. I looked at Pierce, my eyes full of suspicion. Pierce, was this your plan? You lure me in and she attacks? Do you both want me dead? Pierce paused, then looked at me incredulously, his eyes full of hurt. Honey, I didn't know she had a knife. She said she wanted to help us reconcile. I didn't see her madness. I'd rather she stabbed me. I didn't know she'd become so crazy. She's changed, and I didn't see it. Honey, I swear, I'll never contact her again. Let's be together, okay? Pierce's words were sincere, and I believed he finally saw Rowena for who she was. It was something I never dared to dream of. If he had said this a year ago, I would have agreed without hesitation. But now, my heart was calm. Pierce always said I changed, that Rowena changed. But he never thought about why we changed. After telling the police everything, I also mentioned my lawsuit against Rowena. The police told me to rest and assured me the guilty would be punished. When I showed the police the photos Rowena sent me of her son scribbling on my walls and Pierce lying naked with her, Pierce jumped up, insisting he didn't know about the photos and never had an affair. He begged me to believe him. At this point, I didn't care if it was true. Whether Pierce physically cheated or not, his heart had strayed and his actions had deeply hurt our family. We were bound to divorce. 2 months later, Rowena was sentenced to 6 years for intentional injury and illegal occupation of property. On the day of the verdict, perhaps after experiencing so much, Pierce agreed to the divorce and voluntarily gave up all his assets. Even if he hadn't, I would have made sure he left with nothing. I'm not one to repay evil with good. Leaving the courthouse, the sun was shining. I walked to my car, where Coco was waiting with a smile. Pierce wanted to call me but didn't. I didn't want to hear anything he had to say. What solidified my decision to divorce was Coco's words. Mommy, I don't like Daddy anymore. Do you? If not, let's not have him. We can be happy together. No matter what, my daughter always healed me. Coco, Daddy is over there. Do you want to talk to him? Through the rearview mirror, I saw Pierce's gaze still fixed on us. I didn't want to involve Coco in our issues. After all, having more people love her wouldn't be a bad thing. No, Mommy. Let's go home. Okay, let's go home. From now on, I'll live for myself and those who love me.